We're going to be talking about avoiding bad desktop publishing. How to avoid looking bad in print and on the web. The maxim for today: like grammar, desktop publishing has rules. Break them and you suffer. Desktop publishing is nothing more than simply using a PC or a Mac to arrange the placement of the text and graphics on a page to control its visual impression. It doesn't really affect the content of what you're saying, but simply the visual image that you have, which impacts readability, etc. Good desktop publishing actually helps readability. Done right, it can help someone comprehend a mass of text they may not be able to understand otherwise. It will also add credibility to the person doing it as being sort of a professional job. I used to be a lawyer. Well, actually I am a lawyer, but I'm retired. And one of the tricks of the trade was that you write a will and you put it in a blue folder and you print it out really nice. And the beauty of the blue folder was that it made more professional and they took it more seriously. Well, desktop publishing is a way of making your work be considered a little bit more seriously because it looks like it's printed and it looks more professional. Bad desktop publishing, on the other hand, reduces readability. Sometimes it can destroy readability. There are some websites that I look at that I simply can't. It's too much eye strain to actually read the text on it because the desktop publishing is so bad. Also, when desktop publishing is bad, it destroys any credibility you have as far as professionalism. Our focus will be on avoiding common errors that make for bad desktop publishing. We don't have enough time today to talk and tell you how to do good desktop publishing, so we'll just try to steer you away from the really bad stuff. Okay? What makes desktop publishing good or bad? Well, there are three basic principles involved, and if you consider these three things, you're going to do okay, and if you don't, you'll probably do bad. One is continuity. Two is contrast. And three is symmetry. So let's look at continuity. That's simply repeating the same type of elements in a consistent way. Using the same type of fonts for your body text, using the different same font for your headings, and being consistent throughout the body of your document, so that the font changes signal changes in the organization. And this is important because it helps the reader keep track of what's going on in the document. I once got a document that I was reading and I suddenly noticed a huge change in fonts. It wasn't really major, but I know it really caught my eye. It was, I think, going from one serif font to another, and the spacing was changed. I thought, is this now a quotation? Why is this a sidebar? And what it turned out was someone had simply copied some text from another document and inherited the formatting in the document, and the incongruity with what had gone before had decreased readability. Enough that I actually had to ask the person what this was supposed to be. So one rule is to limit the number of fonts and the type of emphasis that you use to give us a simplistic element. Try to do things simple, because you can do good desktop publishing with a lot of elements, but it's harder. So a simple thing to reduce the number of fonts and types of emphasis. By types of emphasis, I mean, like with a Mac, you have bold, italics, shadow, outlines, subscript, superscript, strike through, double strike through. In Microsoft Word, they have this thing called marching ants, animation where the dots go marching around your text. And then they have something called red ants, where it's red dots going around your text. And then they have two of the worst things. One is called flash, where the text flashes at you, which is guaranteed to cause epilepsy in most people. And then there's the other thing, which I think they call it Las Vegas, which was like confetti going down. And I challenge anyone to actually be able to read the text that's being animated because it's all covered by this graffiti. But there are a variety of ways to use emphasis, and there are a variety of ways to use typeface and fonts. I suggest using a limited number of each, and your project will be more manageable. Too many fonts. This here is a screenshot of a HyperCard, of an old HyperCard presentation I gave in a legal conference back in 1988. And it was IBM versus the Mac. And we're talking about the relative advantages. And I wanted to show, well, one thing you could do with the Mac is you could have all these fonts. Yes, you could have all these fonts, but you don't want to use them all in the same document. Once in my life, I sent my mom a letter that had every font on my machine. And I think there was 70-some fonts at the time. But you don't do it at a regular situation. I usually use 2 or 3 fonts at most, maybe Times New Roman and Arial, and then maybe another font for special purposes. So keep it simple. Another thing, if you're not going to spend 4 years of art school and learning how to do it well, one thing you could use is use templates to achieve a consistent look, and use templates from someone you trust. Like, for instance, Microsoft Office has these templates for newsletters, etc. Apple Page also has templates. And when I did my newsletter, for my Christmas newsletter, I used a newsletter template from the Page. And this is what it looked like. On the left-hand side shows the template. And you can see they have places for pictures and they have text. And this is what it looked like in my newsletter. Obviously, these pictures in a template are in the States, and the pictures that I used were in Japan, but they had the same similar look. Quite a few modifications, but I basically used a template to make it easier on myself.